I'm curious what you're thinking. Is it a horse? Which one of these two is it? All of those factors come into play. A theory called the Calico Theorem was prevalent across Eurasia and Africa during the Miocene Epoch. When evolution produced the most bizarre species ever, this creature's powerful right hook was sufficient to dispatch any predator. All in all, he wasn't the only one who had an uncanny ability in the past. As you watch this video, I'm going to share some of the most amazing characteristics of extinct animals, including one that was able to break the sound barrier, and even one that had the ability to move upside down. Some prehistoric species' odd relics are the subject of fierce debate among paleontologists. Canada and China both have ancient species called Hallucigenia that date back 500 million years. This beauty's front, back, bottom, and upper parts were a mystery even to experts. Scientists were under the impression that it had protruding tentacles from its body, but this was not the case. They mistook the creature's back spikes for its feet. This invertebrate may have seemed to deceive scientists because of its well-developed set of teeth. The Demogorgon from Stranger Things has a different mouth. Basically, it's a form of delusional thinking. When it came to devouring its prey, the monster had needle-shaped fangs in its mouth and allowed it to do whatever it wanted to with ease. With that said, I'd just like to make it clear that this creature was no bigger than your pinky and could not harm you in any way. Opabinia regalis had agreed to take on a challenge the size of a chalk piece, the rack of scientific brains. For the second time in 500 million years, scientists just couldn't figure out what this organism was made of. The creature swam upside down and had 5 eyes on the back of its head, and this was revealed by a closer inspection. Plus, what else? The legend of the Colorado Diplodocus perplexed scientists. Is this some sort of primitive horseback riding whip? That's the equivalent of 7 Michael Jordan's lengthy tails. When Diplodocus swung its tail back and forth rapidly, scientists believe it may even shatter the sound barrier. The animal was able to fend off attacks from predators thanks to this supersonic strike. This is such a cool self-defense tactic. Why don't humans have this yet? In addition, there were creatures that had special characteristics that their modern descendants would eagerly adopt. As far as we know, this hippopotamus from the Aleutian Islands is nothing out of the ordinary. So what's so unique about this one? Its mouth is the only place where you can notice the difference. The contemporary animal that descended from this genus has a scary muzzle, yet that old beast could bring its jaws together and suck vegetation up while easing the whole process with its muscular muscles. Basically, it was a hippopotamus from the distant past, with basically a vacuum cleaner for a mouth. Modern snakes, on the other hand, might be able to improve their ability to eat, but they'd require feet like the Tetrodophis and Plectus from Brazil used to have in order to accomplish this. It lived 110 million years ago, and its teeny tiny feet were just the size of a paperclip, about 1 centimeter long. They aided the snake in snagging its meal more effectively and quickly. Some examples of feathered friends using maces on their wings to protect themselves against predators, such as small birds, can be found on the Rodriguez solitaire from Rodriguez Island. The dodo was extinct in the 18th century, but this bird is kind of its cousin. It was also kind of goose-looking in size and had no wings. On its wings, rounded, thick cartilages that resembled maces served as a defense mechanism. These tiny spheres, which were about the size of a human belly button, allowed the birds to break the bones of their attackers. Prehistoric creatures were sometimes born with traits that proved to be more trouble than they were a good thing. What could be more bothersome than that? I'm not talking Tyrannosaurus here, which had the misfortune of having short little stubby arms. I'm referring to the Carnotaurus that roamed the modern-day Argentine provinces. They were able to hold on to their opponent with their forelimbs while fighting thanks to their insane strength. The Carnotaurus, on the other hand, had hands the lengths of a 10-year-old child. Even if they could, they wouldn't be of any help whatsoever. Carnotaurus's plight is still a mystery, and it's not apparent why. If a Carnotaurus were alive today, it would probably be able to ride a bike and scream. And look at this little Mexican gopher. This gopher, called Ceratogallis, has an additional perk on top of everything else: its horns. Horns, which you may have suspected were used for digging, were set at an angle that made them ineffective for this purpose. They probably got a migraine because of all the things they did, which is why modern gophers no longer wear this headwear. Dreadnoughtus is up next, and I want you to take a good look at it. 86 million years ago, it was the largest land animal to have ever existed, and it lived in Argentina at the time. This sauropod towered over everything at a whopping 26 meters. If you were to stack 2 Hollywood signs on top of each other, that's less than a foot high. In terms of weight, Dreadnoughtus was larger than 7 T-Rexes. Think about what a guy like this might be dealing with. So large that obtaining food just to feed yourself proved very difficult. If you're the world's heaviest person, it's still not enough. The most vicious of these thugs will be the ones who make it. Among extinct animals, Tyrannosaurus rex is the most prominent. We've already dispelled the urban legend that this North American dinosaur had the shortest hands, among many other things we've discussed today. Here, let's consider the possibility that the T-Rex was only able to detect movement in its surroundings. Further, this is a complete fabrication, as T-possessed Rex has one of the most impressive eyes of any creature. As a result, we've come to believe that eagles have the sharpest eyes, with vision 3.6 times as good as that of humans. T-Rexes, on the other hand, had 13 times superior vision than humans. T-Rexes could easily see objects 6 kilometers away, even if they were only 2 kilometers away. In fact, a trip to Hillwood Estate would be in order, don't you think? Even if this dinosaur had the ability to see the Enigma broma, it could not. The Pacific Ocean may have been home to an ancient enormous octopus. Like its ancestors, it was capable of disguising itself quite well. On top of that, it had what looked like horns on its head. If they were used in defense, they could only really tickle sharks' stomachs, which is unlikely. Perhaps the horns were useful in flipping rocks for fish for the octopus. The most intriguing element is that Enigma broma might be related to Hallucigenia, the animal that you've already met here in this video. They share a lot of similarities in their teeth. Enigma broma, unlike Hallucigenia, was 11 meters long and had several rows of sharp needles. But this time, I'm afraid I can't put you at ease. Like, I promise you, he will show up in your next nightmare, and he'll appear to you, and he'll talk to you, and I promise he's not gonna be friendly. Okay, there's no need to panic. Mosasaurus, a formidable predator that roamed the oceans of Europe and North America 70 million years ago, was the only member of this prehistoric gang capable of defeating the venom. 17 meters in length, or the length of 2 London buses, is possible. Throughout the Cretaceous epoch, this was by far the most lethal marine organism to have ever existed on Earth. It resembled a giant crocodile with fins that allowed it to swim beneath the water. It won't be a bad thing for you to say, "Oh, thank God it went extinct." I think that too. So, I think we've got to do some digging. It's high time we figure out which of these strange-looking ancient species really is real. Is it the gopher with maces, the bird with axes, or even an enormous dinosaur that could shatter the Hollywood signs letters with a single step? Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time, only here on Quest, where we bring the cosmos to your screen.